Howdy train fans, welcome back to the Chattanooga Southern Railroad. So I want to talk about how I plan to get wired. So what you see in front of you is stuff that I have been acquiring over the last couple months, but mainly a bunch of stuff this past week or so. I've got a couple more things that are coming, and then I'll be ready to rock and roll on getting this thing wired for DCC. So kind of wanted to walk through my thought process and my plans for this, and just kind of show you what I'm thinking before I kick it into gear here. And then if you've got any thoughts or suggestions, keep it nice. Let me know, or if you think I'm going to make a blundering mistake, let me know that too as well. So let me show you. So I put together this plan here, and I've broken this into two sections. One is layout wiring. This is the DCC section, and then I also have a plan for layout wiring for the LCC part of the project. And I wrote down specific things that I wanted to do or try to incorporate as part of each aspect, DCC versus LCC here. So from a DCC standpoint, basically I wanted to have a DCC system separated, and I apologize for my lousy handwriting. If you can't read it, that's why I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to have a Digitrack system. I am going to be using sound decoders on both locos and some of my cars, and some static ones now that I think about this. There's going to be some car lighting involved on some of these. I eventually want to, when funds allow, get one of those proto throttles, because I just think they're absolutely cool. Probably only one. I want friends and family who have cell phones to be able to come over and use cell phone throttles. I'm thinking in terms of like the Y throttle, and I know there's another app out there for that. I want to be able to have anywhere between 3 and 4 person operation at peak. My layout's not big enough to handle more than that. Most likely peak's going to be around 3 people. 4 might be a little crowded unless it's really well planned out. But most of the time it's going to be like 1, maybe 2 people. I'd say 80% of the time. So I plan on using JMRI for the layout, and I'm going to have throttle panels, 4 of them spaced throughout the layout. So one will be back behind this backdrop for that staging yard. One throttle panel will be over here for this industrial area and kind of operate this half of the 4x8 peninsula. And then I'm going to have one in this general vicinity for the yard and this stuff, this area here. And then I'm also going to have one on the back side of this, because it's around the back, for the L&N interchange. So if somebody's over there switching cars out, it can control the throttle and plug in over there. So that's the plan for that. From a LCC standpoint, I wanted to have a separate system, as I mentioned. Wanted to do turnout control, so I'm going to be running tortoise switch machines. Got one sitting right there, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Then I want to use, for the track panels, I showed you a sample of what I was planning on doing with those picture frames for the touch toggles. I definitely plan on having track signals, also signals for road grade crossings, because I got a number of those on this layout because of how condensed it is. I'm debating about block detection, whether that's worth it or not. We'll see. Definitely, obviously, JMRI to help with this. I want to have frog power from the tortoise, right? So, and I'm going to use a green wire for that, to make sure I got power all my frogs, and use the tortoise to make that switch of polarity. And then I'm really liked the squealers from Iowa Engineering. So I've got 6 locations I have in mind for those. I may start with one and see how I like it and go from there. And then I also would like to incorporate a fast clock for some pretty decent operating sessions here. The plan is for the DCC bus that I'm going to be using red and black wire, 14 gauge for the main bus runs, and then a 22 gauge wire for my feeds. I'm going to keep them under 12 inches. I think 12 inches is going to be about right, or the max for the 22 gauge. I am also going to be using solid core wire for this, and I'll explain that more as I get down through the videos here. So this is video number 1 of a series on the wiring for this layout. On this side, I'm going to use blue and white, as you can see here, for my bus wires. Again, 22 gauge, or sorry, 14 gauge for the mains, and then 22 gauge stranded for any drops and connections there. One of the things to connect from the bus to the feeds, I'm going to be using these T-tap wire connectors. You'll see them here. I like this idea as opposed to the suitcase connector because I can unplug this at any time really quick on the fly to be able to do some troubleshooting if I need to. And I've got 2 different sizes here, one for the 14 gauge and one for the 22 gauge should I need it, and go from there. So anyway, and then I just jotted some other things down here about other items, about way bills and car card system. I'm still thinking about some things there, but that doesn't impact what's going on up here. So let me show you what I've got in the goodie pile. So I showed this in a previous episode. I have a brand new Digitrax Evolution here that has a panel, UP panel in it. This is not the radio frequency one. This is the plug-in one. So I'll be using that as my main DCC power system. Okay. I've also got a LAN LocoNet Wi-Fi interface. So this is going to be for the cell phones. So I'll have that connected. I have a PR4, which will allow me to interface with the LocoNet to USB, even though this has one on it, in case I want to hook up 2 computers. And we'll get to that down the pike when we finally get this thing set up, and I'll show you why I wanted this. It also allows me, if my laptop's somewhere else in the house, I can still program. So then, because I do have a reversing section literally right here below this, because it creates a Y leg or a reversing loop section, I needed an AR1. So I've got that'll be installing, connecting to this section here. I have a decoder and LocoNet cable tester because I do have LocoNet cable materials coming along with connectors, so I'm going to have to build some of my own cables for this layout. Also, I have an extra UP7 here. I have a UP5, and I've got 2 more UP7s coming. So this was one of the things I bought originally. You can see how cheap it was back in the day. In addition to that, I think I've mentioned this before, I'm going to be using Tortoise switch machines throughout. I've only got 11 of these suckers. I got a lot more of these to buy. And I was looking into the little connectors that you can buy to make connecting to this much easier, but I found a guy who walked through how to build your own, that you still have to do some soldering to this, but it makes it so it's really easy to connect to these. And how he did that was he used connectors like this, okay, which you can cut these to whatever size you want. Most Tortoises are 8 pins across, the 2 outside are the power ones. I'm going to cut these into, these are 12 in a block here, and what I'm going to do is cut them into 4s, use 2 each for each of the Tortoises, and then what he had done was get some of this 8 conductor ribbon cable and use this to solder to the Tortoise machine, and then also connect into, this, right? And that gives you a screw terminal for each of your Tortoises. And based off of what I saw and my skill set with soldering, I think I'm pretty decent at it. I can still build these cheaper than buying those $24 plug-in pre-made connectors. So that's my plan for the tortoises at this point. Then I've also got, let's see what else here. Actually, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I got solid core for the track feeders, and I have already gone through and started marking the layout and drilling holes, and I'll show you that here. So I went through to make sure to note which side was the positive rail and which is the negative rail. So you can see here, I think it's right here, I put these. I've got a 1/8 inch hole going down through my layout, and I did it at multiple points. So I have a lot of feeders that I'm planning on putting in. So you'll see them here at the end of my tracks here, right? There's my positive, my negative, but I'm also going to be putting feeders intermittently in between turnouts. So like the track between here and this turnout, track between here and this turnout. I don't want any problems with my power distribution on this. So I have a lot of feeders I'm going to be dropping in to this layout, and I haven't counted them. I'm actually scared to count them, but I have gone through and gotten all of these marked, and I've gotten, as you can see, all of them are drilled, and I know I'm now clear down through underneath to get ready to wire my buses up. So that's where I am at this point for my plan. Again, I'm waiting for a couple more of these. I'm waiting for the LocoNet cables and the connectors to come to get those put in place. The only other thing I've got to do is I've got to get my fascia up at places where I'm going to be putting these universal panels in. So and then we can get rocking and rolling. The other thing that I have to do, which I've mentioned before, is I do have to build that shelf that's going to go here. I've got the slides for that. I just got to get out in the woodworking shop and make that happen. I think this is going to be a real improvement. I've actually improved upon the design that I originally had here. I think I showed you that in a previous video. I'm actually going to have a place not only for all the Digitrack equipment here, but I'm also going to have a place to set a laptop, and also was thinking about putting a like a flip down programming track. So I'll leave that as a teaser for you for one of the future wiring videos. So next step right now that I think I got this planned out, is again, I'm going to build that shelf first and get that set up and ready to go. I also, the other thing that I haven't really planned out well yet is the 110 power to this. I don't have, you can see from this spaghetti mess I got up here for my lights, I don't have access nearby to an outlet. The closest one is, like, you can see where this yellow extension cord is going in back behind my HVAC system to a plug on the unit, and that's not the best. I want to actually take it into that closet over there. That's where I've got power. So I've got to figure out something there to be able to power up this layout, to power lights, because I definitely want to do something about that. And then also get a power strip over here somewhere for all of this equipment, because I want to protect it from any surges and things like that. So yeah, I'm getting juiced, pun intended, for getting the wiring done on this, because as I mentioned before, I've been using that DC power pack and moving it around, and some of the sections aren't powered because of the power routing turnouts and not making connections. So yeah, and bottom line is, I know I could drop a couple feeders around and get full power to everything and run DCC, but I know myself very, very well. If I don't take the time to drop all these feeders, get the bus installed, get it installed the way I want. As soon as I get this, if I were to get this, shortcut it and get this thing up and running, I'll never get to that. So I'm gonna go back to my engineering roots, plan it out, and then work my plan. So anyway, that's what I've got for you. Hope your new year has started off with a bang, and with the cold weather that's around, that you're hunkered down with your layouts, doing some work like I am, and we'll see you on down the tracks. Bye everybody.